least. But I met him over the whole debacle over Paradise Valley and, kind of filling in 375 again. And since then, we've had many debates and many discussions about some policies, for me, especially for education. But today, the floor is his. So, Mr. Reeves, I am so excited. A lot of us have been asking you to actually run for state senate. So let's start simple. Why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Oh, thank you, Sananda. My name is Toinu Reeves. It's pronounced like new toy backwards. It helps everyone kind of remember that. So I'm a lifelong East Sider. So I was born, raised, educated, and living on the east side of Detroit presently. So to kind of break that down, I was born at Hudson Hospital, which is east of Woodward and John R. I know people have the question which is the dividing line, but I grew up in the Mack and Chrysler by the Brewster homes. I was educated at the original Base Academy on 797 Dickerson. My grandparents moved up from Mississippi, and they became homeowners in Jefferson Chalmers, and we had that home still in our family. We have a second home there as well. So that's been a part of my upbringing my entire life. And then finally, my father's side of the family is from Liberia, so that's where I get my name. My tribe is the Pele tribe in West Africa, and the name means a shrewd and wise businessman, so we can hope we can develop those skills on behalf of the city of Detroit. And also, my father was brought over by my adopted grandfather, Reverend Jacob C. Oglesby, who was the founder of Greater Christ Baptist Church. Shout out to Christ Baptist Church. It's been out there for a very long time. We're blue-collar family, union family. My grandfather, father, my mother, everyone union. I worked at the same factory as my grandfather, but still. And I also am a union member at the University of Michigan as a graduate student teaching assistant as well.
Now, you have one foot firmly on the east side, but you also have another foot firmly in the East Coast. You went to Bates Academy. From there, you had access to Liggett, Country Day. You went out to get your undergrad at a little Ivy League named Dartmouth. You're currently pursuing your PhD at U of M. What can you tell us about this realm of privilege and its relationship to the East Side?
Well, first of all those accomplishments started out at Bates Academy, so that kind of ties it to the East Side. So everything started at Bates. It was because of Bates and the dedication that those teachers showed to develop my skills, which allowed me to get a scholarship to go to Country Day and to Dartmouth College. And definitely it comes with access and it comes with privileges. We can't deny that. But I would say is that my dedication has always been to take those accomplishments, take those achievements, and to leverage them in the best possible way for our residents here in Detroit. There are many people who doors open up, they walk through the doors and never look back. I'm trying to push the entire city of Detroit through those doors. And so my dedication, as mentioned before, is that I want everyone here to think and to feel that, as we know, it takes a village to raise a child. So when a child makes accomplishments, those accomplishments also belong to the village as well. So these are your achievements. They're just something that happened through my work, but that's something that's going to be dedicated for everyone here and in our city as well.
Now, I know families are struggling, costs are rising. I know you also put together the East Side Summit. But if you got into office, besides talking about what you did at the East Side Summit, what could you do right now to kind of lower the costs and lower all of this heartache that's happening on the East Side?
Yeah, so like right now, actually, we're doing quite a bit. Right now, we're working. We're not waiting until we get into office. We've been working. We are working diligently to create opportunities for Detroit residents. So my team and I have, David's been a part of that effort as well, have secured over $500,000 in funding from City Council to do research on policies which we want to implement that's going to help to keep the dollars that you earn in your pockets and to also build generational wealth. So we've been working with Councilmember Santiago Romero to create an investment fund for Detroit residents. Not every resident is able to start their own business, but we would like to see residents be able to invest and purchase equity in the businesses that are locally where they shop. This is going to help to expand our local economy. We've also been working, you mentioned the East Side Summit, so for those who don't know, the East Side Summit was, I worked as the organizer and moderator in addition to the D4CAC, with Madam Chair, Ms. Jocelyn here, to bring all of the elected officials at different levels of government. We had the federal level represented by U.S. Congressman Tynandar. We had 3 House members, the state senator, and 3 city council members there, including council president. In fact, we were the only organization outside of ABC, WXYZ to have both mayoral candidates come there at the platform. So that shows the power of the East Side when we can come together and mobilize. But we've been working with, again, Councilmember Johnson's office and State Senator Chang's office, and also then Council President, but now Mayor Sheffield's office, to bring a local sales tax to the city of Detroit. Now, what that would do is other states have used those local sales taxes to shift the burden from residents to tourism in our case, downtown. As an example, you can look at Savannah, Georgia. So Savannah, Georgia generated 1.5 billion years. They don't have an auto show. They don't have the grant. That much money just with the little tourism that they have. So the research that our task force commissioned demonstrated that with the tax on tourism and stadiums combined at the national level, we could generate somewhere around $200 million a year for the city of Detroit. That's going to be about 10% of the general fund. And to put that into perspective, that would reduce your property taxes by 12 to 25%. So is anybody here that doesn't want to see a reduction in the property taxes by 25%? Okay, so that's the starting point of it. We're also looking at other options. So to look at, have to look a little bit more broadly, that $200 million in the state of Michigan, you only need $20 million to open up a bank. So we could conceivably open up a resident-owned bank in every single city council district with $10 million per bank in loanable funds immediately ready to be leveraged.
So, Mr. Reeves, you're proposing a policy that not only raises revenue, but the citizens can earmark exactly where it goes, a policy with choices?
Absolutely, definitely. We want to make choices. We don't want to. One of the big problems that we have is that residents don't have a voice. Many people are making decisions on our behalf that aren't necessarily in our best interest of how our tax dollars are being spent. So we definitely want to we want to change that entire narrative. We want to empower residents in Detroit. They have to have their voices heard, and their voices should be empowered.
And how are you going to make sure this is not just another stream of revenue they walk off with?
So part of the local sales tax is that, when you look at a ballot initiative, for example, for the local millage, it'll ask you a question: would you like to raise the millage for this particular purpose? And then the money is going to be directly earmarked for that purpose and that purpose only. So we would have a similar requirement for the sales tax. So it's very important. I've been going around to almost all the different precinct meetings. Many people don't know, I've been to almost all the precincts in the entire city of Detroit. But just to spread the word, because one thing that our people that troubles that creates a problem for our people is that we're not always very well informed. So these policy discussions are already happening. Even our task force has been meeting with members at the city of Detroit, office of the chief financial officer, the city treasurer, the state treasurer's office, and it's important that residents begin to become aware of the type of policies that are going to be, how it's going to be constructed, to ensure that it's going to be in our best interest. One thing is about making sure that the money is going to be earmarked in certain ways, but also we don't want these tax policies to be harmful to low-income households. We're looking at exemptions for low-income households, maybe even exemptions for seniors, making sure that tax policy, the tax itself is going to be implementable downtown, and we can have a lower sales tax in our neighborhood to draw economic activity into our neighborhoods where they need to happen.
Where does Detroit or Michigan rank in sales taxes compared to the rest of the country?
Yeah, you may not know, but Michigan's just 1 out of 5 states that doesn't have a local sales tax. They have a state sales tax, but not a local sales tax. And what that means is that it becomes a lot easier for other states to extract money from us, rather than for us to extract money from them. So when you go to Chicago, does anyone know how much you'll be paying in sales taxes in Chicago? So 10%, okay, depending on what you buy. You're paying 10%. When they come here, they're going to spend 6% on their sales taxes. So basically, we're exporting 4% of our tax revenue to other states. in the question that you were asking, the city of Detroit has the lowest sales tax rate of any major city, and then Grand Rapids has the lowest sales tax rate comparable of any comparable city, 300,000 population or less. So you can see that we're at a severe disadvantage when it comes to raising revenue, which is why we have such a high property tax burden. People wonder why property taxes are so high compared to other states, is because other states have other options that we don't have. And it's not just for the city of Detroit. You can think about any place that has tourism, like Traverse City, Sheboygan, Mackinac, Island, and so on and so forth. These municipalities are all going to benefit from a local sales tax. It's just that we're so far behind in modernizing our tax policy that it's becoming it's crippling. You talk about the high prices or whatever. High prices are very high because you don't have it in your pocket, which is taking your pockets through our profit.
Now, I love this idea of policy. I love design. I love that it's grounded, flexible, that it could change with the needs. But what making policy is something. A lot of policies pre-fad comes from lobbyists. I'm glad that you're making policy, but what makes you a
So we've been doing a terrible job at development in Detroit for the past 30, 40 years. What I mean by that is we've been focusing exclusively on development downtown when the heart of our economy is in our neighborhoods. So not just, I'm sure that most residents will feel that way, but even as an economist, when we think about macroeconomic growth, the primary driver of macroeconomic growth is always going to be small businesses. You're not going to generate growth in an economy by building what I call a sandcastle downtown. What we're doing is taking money from low-income households, giving it to rich billionaires to subsidize building office buildings downtown, and somehow you believe that the entire Detroit economy is going to start rocking. That's never going to happen, okay? You're living in a fantasy that even Earth, Wind, and Fire couldn't dream of. So we have to start doing things differently. And so we're right at a very critical phase, like right now, where we have to make a hard pivot to the neighborhood economy. We have to start focusing on developing our neighborhood economy, and that's not going to happen by accident. It won't happen by accident. It's not going to happen because we wish it into being. It's going to happen because we have the right people at the right time who are going to help, who have the understanding and the knowledge. And so my entire life has been dedicated precisely to that. Understanding, as we mentioned before, going to these schools, going to very critical, not from outside, people in the community itself that can design policies that are going to be beneficial for that community. So as an example, when I was a child, if you had something that said made in China, what did that mean? It was cheap, right? Now China is one of the top economies, the second largest economy in the world, just in one generation. And so they did that by sending their children to schools in the US and to Europe, having them educated, coming back to their country and rebuilding their entire economy in just 1 year. What do they have that we don't have? The answer is nothing. Anything that one person can do, another person can do. And so my life has been dedicated to that purpose, and I've gone out, learned, understood how economies work, and so the time is now for us to reap the fruits of that labor, and to start applying that dedication to rebuilding our local East Side economy.
So then what would be the top 3 priorities? What would be the top 3 main points of focus on our population if you were elected?
So I have 4, but I'll share 3. So I'll just jump ahead. So the 4th one, I think, is actually the first one. We have to reconstitute our community. So our community is very fractured. We have on the east side of Detroit some 300 block clubs, and that's we always want to appreciate the diversity, and everyone can have have a certain sense of pride in their community. There's no question about that. But if we want to achieve these larger goals, we have to learn how to work together. So there's a saying, an African proverb: if you want to go somewhere fast, you have to go alone. People are going to slow you down. If you want to go somewhere far, you have to go together. You can't do it by yourself. But if you want to go somewhere far and you want to get there fast, you have to walk together, but you have to walk as one. And so it's important for us to come together as a single community and walk together. But in terms of legislative priorities, I'm sorry, you're going to ask.
No, I just wanted to, I can't help but reiterate, because we've lost 11 out of 13 black voting blocks in Michigan. We're down to 2.
And it's all, of course, and we have to galvanize that much more effectively. As for legislative priorities, economic empowerment, economic safety, and I would say our economic future, which is our education. So looking at economic empowerment, at present, our economy here in Detroit is bleeding, is hemorrhaging, as a matter of fact. And how to stop the bleeding. So what I mean by that? Detroit residents spend somewhere around $2.5 billion, that's billion with a B, in the year. To put that into perspective, that's the entire city budget for 1 year. Okay? So with that level of spending, our economy is never going to be able to grow. In addition, the city council apportions another 300, I'm not sure the exact number, but hundreds of millions of dollars, I should say, to contractors that don't live in the city of Detroit. And so when that money is spent on contractors, those contractors have to pay taxes to their local municipalities, which means that indirectly, the city council is actually giving tax dollars to other municipalities and bankrolling those municipalities. Mm-hmm. So if we were to have more strengthen our businesses locally and have those businesses receive city contracts, they would pay that money in taxes right back to the city of Detroit, and that would help to grow our economy again. And then finally, when it comes to empowerment and the bleeding of our local economy, even the money that we spend locally within Detroit, how many of those businesses are owned by Detroit residents? Less than 10%, okay? And so you have a large amount of money that even when we spend locally, that money is being extracted out of our economy and is being empowered for other people. We have to start learning how to strengthen our economy locally, how to build our economy locally, and how to start strengthening our own economy.
You were talking about fractured communities, and that at certain spaces we've got 80% poverty level, but sharing representation with the same citizens as, for say, people from Sherwood. How do you respond to that in terms of fractured communities and boundaries that you're working with?
So I would say that, so just to kind of to broaden the characteristic, what she's saying is that the new city council district, this new Senate district, comprises some of the most affluent communities in our district, along with some of the most underserved communities in our district. So Sherwood Forest, Boston Edison, Palmer Park, Indian Village, Lafayette Square. In addition to, on the east side, we have some of the highest poverty rates, 80% poverty rates in the city of Detroit, on the east side of Detroit. So while it looks like an anomaly, it's actually an opportunity. So when you think about the Tulsa district and the Greenwood district in Tulsa, Oklahoma, we call it Black Wall Street. That was able to thrive because you had affluent members of the community and low-income members of the community all working to keep their dollars locally. I know that there's a Brookings report that says that a single dollar in that district would circulate 19 times before it left the city, before it left that environment. We have to do the same thing here. We can actually build that same model, but conscientiously, not by accident, but in a conscientious way, which means we can do it like LL Cool J said, bigger and deafer. So we have the opportunity, and this is what we're talking about now, some of the policies that we bring in the city council, to have a localized investment fund where residents can start investing and purchase equity in local businesses. Those businesses can take that money and reinvest it to other businesses. We've also been working with House Rep McKinney and Congressman Tenendar to create local in their income taxes or payroll taxes or whatever it may be, they get credit and they can invest into their businesses as well.
So besides investing in businesses, together in Lansing.
So I also wanted to mention, you asked me about the priorities. So
yeah.
I spoke about empowerment, but I didn't speak about the security aspect of it. So you mentioned Lansing, and that I just wanted to say that many people don't realize that what pushed Detroit into bankruptcy was that the state withheld the sales tax revenue from local governments. And so
Sales tax again?
yeah, so it's important because we went into bankruptcy. We lost our, lost Belle Isle, lost the water department, Jefferson Chalmers. We know what that means. That when Lee took over our water department, we had two once in a generation, catastrophic events that happened by God or whatever. But it was because of poor management.
Try to take our DIA.
The DIA and our municipal funds, municipal workers pension fund. And so I just want people to know that if that exact same shock happened to the economy this afternoon, if this afternoon we had another, shock to the economy, we would be in the exact same predicament we were there almost 10 years ago. That was 10 years ago, and there hasn't been a single measure taken to provide our economic security. So what having a localized sales tax would do is not, in addition to just raising money, it's also about being able to have local control and local independence to provide security for our city. We cannot just sit back and hope that Lansing's going to be able to protect us. We have to take the necessary steps to protect ourselves from our own economic security and viability. And so going to you asked about Lansing. So there are two parts to a government, right? One part is about growing your economy, making a larger, what we call in economics, a larger pie. And the other part is about dividing the pie, who gets what. So when it comes to conflict in Lansing, that usually it's going to be on the side of who gets what, dividing the pie. As you can see, that our policies are focused more on growing a larger pie, and there's no conflict when it comes to having a larger pie. Like Biggie said, everybody gets cream, and no one considered a leech, right? So our policies are always going to be geared towards having bigger, having a larger economy, more robust economy, something that both sides of the aisle can agree upon. I think that even Speaker Hall is considering lowering the property taxes through a statewide sales tax, where what we're saying is that it would be more effective and more efficient to have a localized sales tax where it can be customized to each local government. Traverse City, Grand Rapids, they all can have according to what their needs are. And so I look forward to having that talk with House Member Hall next year in Lansing. In addition, it's the Republicans, ironically, are the ones who are trying to dismantle this corporate welfare system where we take our property taxes and give it to billionaires to develop without having any development happening in our neighborhoods. So those are two policies that we can, very much see eye to eye on.
Just the idea of an indebted public is an oxymoron. It doesn't make sense to be in debt and be a public. And it kind of breaks my heart that we have to live under debt and they normalize it. How can citizens be under debt? And in this sense, what do you say to voter disconnect? Because here you are campaigning, everybody campaigning with big bucks. There are golden boys out there campaigning for this party. But we have like an abysmal voter turnout. So how do you plan on campaigning with two people going to the booth?
So I hear a lot about the voter apathy, about the low voter turnout. Okay, so I wanted to address that and say that we have a low voter turnout not because of apathy, but because of a broken sense of trust between the residents and their elected officials. So Dr. King said in his I Have a Dream speech, we won't be satisfied as long as Negroes in the South can't vote and Negroes in the North feel they have no reason for which to vote. And so this is where we are right now. People feel that no matter who we vote for, it's going to be the same outcome. It's going to be the same people doing the same thing over and over again. I don't think that there's anybody here or anyone in the city of Detroit that believes that taking property taxes from low-income households and giving it to billionaires who, by the way, were the part of destroying our economy, having them build office buildings downtown, I don't think anyone thinks that makes any sense. And if it doesn't make sense, then it can't make dollars, right? So, from a standpoint of an economist, we don't have any research that demonstrates that giving money to development, building office buildings downtown is going to get your economy, increasing. And so, when it comes to these type of policies that we ourselves feel that don't make any sense to us, there's always a reason why they'll do it. But when it comes to doing things on behalf of residents, there's always an excuse for why they can't do it. So going back a few years to the $600 million that was illegally taken from residents, there's a litany of excuses as to why they can't make that happen. So they can always find an excuse to hurt us, but never find an excuse, never find a reason to help us. A few examples here in Jefferson Chalmers. Right now, GLEWA is talking about putting a pumping station right in the middle of our neighborhood. When I say in the middle of our neighborhood, what that means is, here's Algonquin, here's Fruit Street. They want to put it right at the intersection of the two streets, in the middle. And we're asking them, how do we drive? Drive around it. Do you think that anywhere else in southeastern Michigan they would even consider putting a pumping station right in the middle of the intersection? But they'll do it to us. They'll do it to us because we don't have people who are going to fight for us. And they know, what are you going to do about it? The second thing about Jefferson Chalmers, we're in the floodplain. According to the Army Corps of Engineers, we're in the floodplain, which means two things. We can't get it. We have to have mandatory flood insurance. And number two, we can't have a single penny of federal dollars invested in that area. Does anyone know what the boundary of that floodplain is? It's a street called Alter Road. It happens to, ironically, also be the borderline between Detroit and Grosse Pointe. So on the Detroit side of Grosse Pointe, on the Detroit side of Alter Road, that's the floodplain. On the Grosse Pointe side of Alter Road, that's not the floodplain. And so I was a big fan of Kidbits when I was young. So it was like the Science Center had this on TV show, whatever. So I did an experiment. I literally poured a water out on the street on the yellow lines. You can actually see that the water will migrate over to the Grosse Pointe side. But we're the ones in the floodplain. And so to better understand that, there's many different colorful sayings that we can't say in mixed company with women here. But what I can say when we growing up in Detroit is, growing up on the east side, if you act like a punk, you're going to get treated like a punk. And we've been getting punked for years. We've had our elected officials getting punked for years. We've not had people that are going to stand up for us and fight for us. And so if we here want to see a difference, if we want to see more voter turnout, we have to ensure that we don't send another punk to Lansing.
So they got 90% of the money, and we got 90% of the vote.
Absolutely. They have the money and the votes, too. They get the money. The money buys votes, unfortunately, even in this race right now.
Well, they haven't been able to buy votes because people aren't coming out to vote. So we got the vote.
Oh, yeah. So if we're able to mobilize it, we definitely have it. So that's why it's going to be, in this election in particular, it's going to be very important. So we have a lot of people running in the race. Coming back to Snoop Dogg, everybody got their cups, but they ain't chipped in. So people haven't been in our community at all in the past 4 years. It's like that Michael Jackson Thriller video, just zombies coming out of nowhere all over the place. Everybody's jumping into the race now. If you ask them, what have you done in our neighborhood for the past 4 years? Well, they haven't done anything. But now they're coming because there's an open seat, and they want to come and take our power from us again. It should be understood. As a matter of fact, I'm expecting every win here to make sure that it's understood. In this election, this vote is going to be a referendum. A vote for Toinu Reeves is going to be a referendum to demonstrate that if you want to come into the east side of Detroit and you want to ask for our vote, you need to demonstrate that you've done something in our community first. Otherwise, don't bother coming here because you're just wasting your time. You're just doing it for practice, okay? So I need everyone here to show up and show out. I need everyone to, right now, as a matter of fact, get your text. Let people have a message. We have a message and a messenger, and someone's going to take the water to the Lansing and who's going to defend us and fight for us all the way through.
I'm going to put a little twist on this question because, I just got to. What do you think that the east side's facing? And what kind of impact it can make?
So again, I would say it comes back to our voice, right? So it's not just the east side. I mean, this is something that our community, by and large, across the nation has been feeling, okay? And because some of you see the volunteers out here with their T-shirts on, and I wish they can come up and speak because we have meetings after the shift and after knocking doors, and it's heartbreaking sometimes, right? It's something that will just tear your heart apart because you hear residents who just telling them that that I'm from the east side of Detroit and I grew up in Mack and Chrysler by the Brewsters. They don't believe that someone can actually come from that area and come and fight for us and be able to be there. With an Ivy League degree and went to country, all the other stuff too, and is going to dedicate most people, they think that if you get there, you're never going to come back.
Well, we're taught to leave.
I'm sorry?
We're taught to leave. Get out of
Oh,
here.
yeah.
Make it somewhere.
Like I said before, people, when those doors open up, most people walk through them and never even look back, like, like Sodom and Gomorrah, okay? So when we're on those doors, knocking these doors, we've been knocking doors since late February, getting an early start, because that's probably the most fulfilling part of the campaign, because you're actually touching the voters. And what our volunteers tell us every time is that we put down how many? 400 lawn signs, I think, already. The wind blew them all away. But we dropped 400 lawn signs on people's lawns. So we have all of our volunteers who are taking the pictures with the the residents and everything else, and they're just happy to see somebody who's going to come and listen to them, because like they said, when people in our government are just not listening, they're just not listening to us. So we want to make sure that residents feel with this campaign that they're going to have a voice. We're going to give a voice to the voiceless in this campaign. And it's not even the lower-income households. Even though I was over in Boston Edison talking to some of our friends over there, and they're saying the same thing. When it comes to lowering property taxes, they're just not listening. They're just not saying, and that segment of our population, they pay the highest property tax. Some of them paying $10,000 a year in property taxes. That means that every 10 years you can buy a new house. You cannot build an economy if you're going to tax people to death, okay? You have to have enough tax money in order to run the government, but you have to free up that income so that they can reinvest. And when I was over in Boston Edison, they're saying, okay, well, Toinu, we like your policies and everything, but how can you convince people on the east side to do this? And I tell them, okay, when I'm on the east side, they always ask me, how can I talk to people in Boston Edison? So we must be doing something right. We have a policy that's going to be able to work for everybody. So we want to be able to lower their tax burden. I probably feel they're paying more than anybody else as an economist. We have to lower their tax burden so that they can start investing in the east side of Detroit. We're not going to have people coming from Manhattan and coming from Singapore to invest in Detroit. It has to be people in our community first, because they understand our community better than anyone else does. Once we get them investing in our community, the rest of the money will follow. But we have to establish that core group of investors, and it's going to come from us creating policies that are going to be able to free up the capital from our more affluent communities, but have it invested in the east side of Detroit and have it rebuild the east side. The east side growth is going to be something core to the expansion of Detroit, because unfortunately it's so underdeveloped. But as an economist, what I can see is that's a perfect opportunity, because that means you're going to have the highest return on your investment. So if you buy it this time, and you already see people like Hans Farms trying to buy up and extract all the wealth out of our community, we know people have been working to help them do that. We have to see how we ourselves can start investing in our community, so that when we're able to rebuild it and revitalize it, we're going to be the ones that benefit from that increase in value as well.
I like how this is kind of a collaborative, kind of a working citizens campaign. It's data-driven, but is ground-up data coming from the citizens and what they think is wrong. I like that it's research-driven. To wrap up a bit, could you tell us how you plan on going on, how you're going to take in this different kind of research and what you need from the rest of us?
So there are two parts, right? So one part is you have the individuals who do the research, right? But what's important in this particular case is that you have an individual who's a researcher, who is a community member, a community organizer, and who understands our community better than anyone else who's in Lansing. What that means is, so my last 2 years, or last 4 years, I should say, working with government, it's been fruitful. So that I get a lot of people saying negative things about our elected officials. I can say I have worked with a lot of them, and they are open and looking for more ideas. Obviously, when you have the access that I have, it helps people listen to you a little bit more, but it's not a perfect match. So for me, it's like, imagine if you're sitting in the passenger seat and you have a blind person sitting in the driver's seat. That's been my experience for the past 4 years. So even when we have to hit the gas, they don't want to hit the gas because they're scared. But if you're trying to tell them to get onto the freeway and start merging with traffic, you can't do that 25 miles an hour. You have to hit the gas. And so we had some opportunities that we missed. We missed a couple deadlines because just weren't prepared. So I think that being able to put someone in this seat, in SD3 in particular, because SD3 is a very critical seat. What makes it so critical is it comprises the entire east side of Detroit. the entire east side of Detroit, plus Boston, Edison, Sherwood Forest, a little bit of the west side. But it comprises 3 city council districts, 2 city council at larges, 4 county commissioners, a state senate seat, the federal seat, the congressional seat, and also two U.S. senators. And so this seat, whoever occupies this seat is going to be the pivot, is going to be the point guard for our community. So we have to put someone in that seat that not only has friends, I have lots of people who have lots and lots of friends and connections. That's what's going to be important when you go out to vote. What's going to be important is who's the person that's going to be able to galvanize all these people, who has a vision, who can bring that vision into fruition, and is going to do it on behalf of residents rather than on behalf of people who are working against us. So it's going to be a very critical seat, and what I need from everyone here, again, I need you to, in whatever way, to join the campaign. If you can give a dime, give $1, give an hour, give something to the campaign. I'm not afraid to ask. Thanks so much for coming. I'm not afraid to ask, and I'm not afraid to beg. Like we say back in, I taught in India for 15 years. They say either beg, borrow, or steal. But somehow we got to get that money into the campaign. We have to get hours into the campaign, volunteers. If you can't come out and knock doors, you knock doors. If you can't do that, make some phone calls, send text messages to your friends, your networks, whatever you can do. We have a volunteer sign-up sheet here as well. So when you came in, you can also update that. How do you want to contribute? But once we get this message out through social media, whatever factors, having us have block club meetings, or having a meet and greet at your house where you introduce me to some of your friends. They may not even live in the district, but maybe they have networks that can tap into our district. So it's going to be essential that we start making those organizational steps to having a very strong campaign.
Wow. Well, that's it for me, Mr. Reeves. This was fascinating. It's been an honor for me as a personal friend. I would like to open this up to questions from the audience if anyone would like to ask. And, of course, we have Dr. Telford, the Dr. Telford, Spirit of Detroit. There's a microphone up there. So, Wabo, could you get that to Dr. Telford, please?
This is John Telford, in total support of Toinu Reeves. I've known this man for many a year. He came on my WJZZ show. That's when I first met him. He wanted to come and talk about reparations, regarding which he's an expert. He's an expert regarding many other topics, too. What I like about this guy, in addition to his total honesty, is his brilliance and his ability to communicate, reach out to the public. We have got to get Toinu Reeves into our office this time in this district for the good of the people and really for the good of the state. So everybody get out there and campaign for Toinu Reeves.
Thank you so much, Dr. Telford, for those very kind words. And I also want to share that Dr. Telford's been an inspiration and also a mentor for me in helping to provide guidance in terms of how we can make our city, our environment, even our state better as well. He's been a very huge contributor, a giant in the field of education as well, that we all know of.
Hi, my name is Jeanette. What areas do you cover?
Yeah, so the SD3 is going to cover the entire east side of Detroit, so everything east of I-75, let's say. And then it's also going to cover, as it kind of snakes around like Livernois Lodge area, so it'll cover part of Boston Edison. And when it gets to like 6 Mile Road, it'll cover everything east of Livernois. So, I'm sorry.
Okay, the reason I asked is because I have people on the other side, and I wanted to know, was it just the east side, or was it also the west side too, part of the west side?
Right. So up until if you between 6 and 8 Mile Road, it'd be everything west of Livernois.
Oh, okay. Good.
Yeah. So we're actually going to liberate Sherwood Forest. They're now part of the east side now. The new dividing line is east of Livernois now, so no more John R. Woodward.
So you got Palmer Woods.
Palmer Woods, yes, U of D. So yeah. This question over here.
My name is Matt Fuller, and I'm from the east side of Detroit,
There you go.
Harper Chalmers.
Okay.
And I was wondering, are you running for an existing seat, or is it vacant?
So it's going to be it's vacant this year. So Senator Chang has been a state senator in our in that seat for two terms, and now she's not able to run again because of term limits, and so it's an open primary right now. Yeah. So there's a 12-year limit, but she was also a House member before taking the state Senate seat. So altogether, she's not able. She's expired her possible time she can spend in Lansing representing us in the legislature.
Questions? I don't need a mic. My name is Joshua Lemire.
People on Zoom won't be able to hear you.
Zoom.
Yeah,
Sorry, I forgot that,
that's okay.
digital age. This microphone sounds like it was from the 30s, but my name is Joshua Lemire, and so I've just got a question, regarding the Great Lakes Water Authority, and obviously you're an economist, and you mentioned how that money is literally hemorrhaging from the city of Detroit. But so when it comes to the Great Lakes Water Authority, it's water, and that sounds stupid and just, but it's water. My mom got a $1,000 water bill last year, and your average person who would get that, they'd move. I mean, what do you do with that? And so my question is, how would you legislate? Because me personally, I'm a geographic snob, and so you're talking about how $2.5 billion leaves the city of Detroit to the suburbs, but what a lot of people don't talk about is how we pick up the tab for the suburbs in every conceivable fashion, whether it be infrastructure, water, electricity. I mean, every North Ender here or Highland Parker, their water bill goes and pays for 696 and telegraph billion-dollar projects while we can't walk down the street because there isn't a sidewalk. So I don't mean to get too long-winded, but my question is I mean, could you see conceivably maybe 5-10 years down the road, or maybe even sooner, making us have our own utilities again, like a government is supposed to do? Like, I don't want to give DT any money. I don't want to give GLWA any money. Frankly, I don't want to give anybody in the United States government money because I don't have a school, a hospital, or literally anything that a government's supposed to provide, in Highland Park. So,
right, yes.
When it comes to the GLWA, do you think you have the courage to stand up? I'm serious and say we're done. We had a local municipal, water source until 2014. We made it 300 years without.
Right, exactly. So what I would say is, I mean, the reason I'm laughing is because we've been fighting for that for the past 4 years in Jefferson Chalmers, as I mentioned to you before. It's not just the financial burden, but again, the absolute lack of consideration, lack of dignity that they're showing us by putting a pumping station right in the middle of our neighborhood. So it's also the social cost as well, right? So when it comes to this is the important thing is we have to have people that are going to fight for that, right? And you're only going to fight if you're going through it yourself. If you have somebody representing you in Lansing that's not going through these same issues, just like when we have issues, people. There used to be a time when everyone who worked for the city government had to live in the city government, right? Now when you call downtown, these may be people who don't live anywhere, they don't go through our problems, it's not important to them. So so someone who's going through that problem right now, not just the water bills, but you didn't mention this quote unquote rain fee. When it's rain because they have to do a whole different way of having it enacted. They call it a fee to that. The air that we breathe inside the houses in a minute, right? And so now, as you said, we have to have people that are going to put an end to that. So one thing is, in other cities, the way that they do is they definitely use the local sales taxes for that. They will raise local sales taxes because people coming from out of town. Understand, when people come for the Red Wings game or for baseball matches, half the people there are coming from outside of the state. They're coming, enjoying our services, and then they leave. So it's not just for just the suburbs. We're bankrolling people coming here from all over the country, come all over the world. I'm not saying that they shouldn't, that we have to like tax them into oblivion, but everyone should pay their fair share. In fact, when people don't pay their fair share, it's not just us that suffer. Even the tourism industry is going to suffer. They've been asking to have a transit system from DTW to downtown. Is anybody willing to raise our property taxes for that? No. Not at all. But I don't mind raising a sales tax downtown for that purpose. And so if we have to start, again, finding other streams of revenue. So being able to relieve the burden on residents, because it's going to come from, they can't tax the income, they go to the property. They can't tax property, they'll make up taxes like the water tax. Then they'll make DTE and Glee will start raising our rates. So it's important that we start having control over our local economy, our local revenue, and of course, having people that are going to just stand up and fight and say, listen, enough is enough. Because they took the water department from us because, again, we had people in Lansing that got punked. They took it from us, and they never gave it back. And when the Democrats took control I won't go into all of the details, but when Democrats took control, there's no reason why they couldn't have an investigation into that. There's no reason why they couldn't have, had some type of an examination of what happened. I'm not saying that you have to always, go down there and protest, but we have to have people in Lansing that are going to be able to, that have our best interest at heart, who are going to fight for us. So definitely. Yeah, follow up. Yes. Okay, so those who didn't hear it, what he's asking is, would I be in favor of having that, of reenacting the requirement that you have to live in the local municipality in order to work there, 100%, without question, zero question about that. Okay, so it's not just about personality politics. I'm looking at this strictly as an economist, right? So as an economist, we understand that capital markets work, that competition works. Competition works when you have certain factors in place. But the closest thing to that is having people. The idea behind an open market is that people will vote with their pocketbooks. So when you decide what we want to buy, what we want to have in the marketplace, people are voting by buying those things. That's what what to produce and what not to produce. If you don't have the voice of the people who are going to tell you what you should do with the money, you're going to have an inefficient economy. And this is what happens with our local governments as well when we don't have the voice of the people that are there. It becomes inefficient, and if you look at the population losses, because some people are just sick of it. They're sick of it. They're not going to call downtown and say, I'm sick of it. They're just going to move and leave. And this is part of the reason why we have such a dire situation when it comes to population loss.
Toinu, thanks for hosting this event and doing Q&A. I'm David Palmer. I live in Rosedale Park. And about half of my summer property tax bill is debt retirement for the city of Detroit and the former Detroit Public School District. I'm seeing other communities around the state have that debt retired ahead of schedule. If you wanted to lower my tax bill by 50%, you could help retire that debt. So tell me about your plan to help retire the debt of DPS and the city of Detroit, because we both know there's a lot of history behind why that debt was incurred to begin with, and it wasn't for the right reasons.
Absolutely, David. So again, full disclosure, David and I both work on the EDTF, the Equitable Development Task Force for City Council, Tax Policy Subcommittee. And so when I mentioned about my teammates earlier, he's one of the central parts of that team. We spend a lot of our free time and free time without pay, and the type of project that we're working on require a lot of thought and expertise, and David is someone that brings a lot of that to the table. So yes, one of the things that we're looking at is when it comes to the debt that was acquired. As you said before, it was unfair, and so when we went into debt, as a matter of fact, a lot of things that were done unfairly, as I mentioned to you before, when the Democrats took control, that was a time that we could have we had an opportunity to right all of those wrongs. And so I think that it is time for us to have those type of discussions. Looking back, this wasn't like, 100 years ago. It's like, 5, 10 years ago. And so it is time for us to have those open and honest discussions. Like, fair is fair. We're not asking for anything that's not, out of the ordinary. It's something that shouldn't be asked for. If we want to go forward and have a sense of trust between, Lansing and Detroit, or between Republicans and Democrats, it has to start by having open and honest discussions about what's right and what's wrong. And like David said, retiring some of that debt is one of the ways. I think there was a CRC report, if I'm not mistaken, that came out about a year and a half ago, that expressed that we can restructure how we do the TIFs and the tax abatements. So there are many, many ways of how we can lower our property taxes, and definitely having access to other individuals, other colleagues who have brilliant ideas is something that I'm happy to say that I bring to the table, not just at the University of Michigan Department of Economics, but even my colleagues here in Detroit who have wonderful ideas. And unfortunately, again, this comes to the idea of sitting in the passenger seat. David's one of the people sitting in the passenger seat with me, where if you have somebody in office who understands the policy, it's a lot easier to enact those type of policies.
The state of Michigan wants DPS to pay back all the debt yesterday. Now remember, DPS was divided by the portfolio model into DPS and DPS-CD. DPS-CD got our only black Catholic college and turned it into a K-12 playscape. All right? They took out our grad degrees, they took out our undergrad degrees, and now DPS did not survive. DPS has the debt, and DPS also has our properties. So my estimation, I don't know what y'all thinking because I do research for the law school, education research. It's not just, right? They're after our city properties now, the state of Michigan. So, yeah, Mr. Reeves, please.
So yes, thank you very much, Sananda, for your support and understanding of that as well. So again, coming back to the point of having to have people in office who understand policy, not just people who, by and large, not to criticize, but by and large, if you look at the way that our government is structured, people are elected through a popularity contest, not because of how effective they are, not because of what their capability level. This is the only job in the entire country where you get elected, you get chosen because of a popularity contest. Okay, so imagine like having a surgery, and your surgeon was chosen by a popularity contest. Imagine driving on the Gordie Howe Bridge that was developed by a popularity contest of architects and engineers. Who would want to drive on that bridge? So when you think about why our government is the way that it is, it's because we don't have individuals who understand the policy too. So we have everyone here in this district, at least we have an opportunity. Other people don't have the opportunity, but we have somebody in this race right now who understands the community, who understands policy, and who understands how to get things done effectively as well.
Good afternoon, Mr. Reeves. My name is Dennis Bryant, and I have a couple of questions I need to ask you. First of all, would you be in favor of having the Michigan Public Service Commission being an elected position? But with that, of course, there's going to be lobbyists, PACs, that's going to flood money into that race, which leads to my second question. Do you support caps, fundraising caps, for all state rep races, state senate races?
Yeah, so again, coming to that same point, so making the system as fair and equitable as possible, creating a situation, an election situation where individuals who care about the community have an opportunity. So you have a lot of people who are working hard in our community who don't have a chance for raising that type of money to run this type of race. I know how much money it's going to take to run this race. It's a lot of money, okay? So lawn signs are like by themselves, $10 or whatever. So we have to create a situation that allows people in any walk of life to be able to come and to participate in this election process. So I'm in favor of caps, but I would like to see a situation where there's no caps, where anyone who wants to run for office, first of all, number one criteria should be you have to find people in the community, in that district, who can vouch for the fact that you've actually done something in the district first. That should be the number one criteria. After that, whoever qualifies, everyone gets the same amount of money, the same platform. You get the same mailers, the same opportunities to talk in front of community members. No need for lobbyists, no need for any other types of lobbies or whatever. Everyone gets an equal access to voters. That's the same way we did in student council. When I ran for student council, when I was in the 8th grade, everyone vote. The same way. Everyone gets 2 minutes and go and talk to everyone votes. That's how it should be. That's exactly how it should be. So getting money out of pockets is going to be absolutely critical and absolutely crucial for having residents, again, have a voice, giving a voice to the voiceless in our community. Okay. One last question. Okay, let's get one question over here. Now, the gentleman just walked in as well. Okay.
Good morning to everyone. My name is Gwendolyn Peoples, a resident of Jefferson Chalmers for over 50 years. So Toinu, I support you in everything you do, all the meetings that we are fighting for items in our community that should be there that have either been taken away from us, destroyed, or given to others. So I know what you do. I've worked with you long enough. I support you. I will do whatever it takes to help get the word out about you throughout the church and everywhere that I'm affiliated with, and that is a lot of places. So I support you 100%.
Thank you, Thank you so much, Ms. Gwendolyn, for your support. It's going to go a long way. And we are going to cross the finish line August 4th, and we're going to be there. And if you're going to be part of the transition team, as a matter of fact, too, okay? Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon. My name is Jadante Smith. I'm a resident of Island View. So you spoke about people being qualified by the work that they've done. So I think this district is mostly the east side. And so I have a friend who's in this race. I'll be honest about that. And she's running against you. I know the work that she's done, work that you've done as well, but what is your plan for the east side? And I think it's a little bit of hamtramck in there. What is to help address some of these systemic issues?
So yeah, I don't want to suggest that I'm the only person doing anything in the east side. I have a close friend of mine who's also from Jefferson Chalmers in the race as well. And so I definitely support anybody. It's, everyone who's done things on the east side, we all just jump into the race and let's see what happens, So definitely support, all of the Detroiters who are out here working hard every single day. I just know, even like Mr. Doris right here, I know how the type of work that she's doing, and I would like to see her running for office right now. But as a matter of fact, if she got into the race, I'd probably have to back out because I know she's out here cracking skulls out here for sure. But I think you might have come a little bit late. So what we're looking at in terms of the policies here for this campaign, for our platform, is economic empowerment and economic security first and foremost. So we need to have a local economy that's going to grow, is going to keep the money that we have in our pockets circulating in our economy, having local businesses in our economy. They're going to be owned by local residents, not owned by, the big question I always get on the doors is, why is it that everybody can come into our community and make money except for us? It's just a simple question. Everybody you think of can come here, walk into a bank, get a bank loan, walk out and start a business. I was talking with, I think we're going to, hopefully we're going to post it in the next week or so. I was sitting at Little Liberia, so my sister from Liberia, not my sister, but anyone from Liberia is a sister to me. She's a very young entrepreneur, started a business. And in that interview, I was just asking her, what are some of the difficulties you face? Right. So what I was saying, saying to her is that you're a chef, you're a cook. She started off by cooking out of her kitchen. Like most of the young ladies can cook out in Detroit. They can cook. They can cook very well, I should say. Not as much as the older women used to be able to, but I'll leave that alone. But the point is, you know how to cook. In order to become a small business owner, you have to learn how to marketing, advertising, payroll, accounts, and all these things that are going to burden you. So even if you're successful at what you do, it becomes such a burden to be able to start a small business, and you don't have the support that you need. Mm-hmm. So one of the biggest problems that we're facing is our local community has the talent, but they're being overburdened with things that are completely outside of the realm of what they do in terms of their profession. And so we have to come up with situations that, as you know, from my standpoint, it would become much more efficient if we had one company that did all of the back office, front office for the entire. Let's say, for example, we're talking about one area like the Warren district, or like East Jefferson district. Rather than having every single small business have their own accounting and their own marketing and their own payroll, you have one company that handles it for everybody, and they can focus on their businesses, which they have an expertise in. So we have to come up with these innovative ways to be able to support and to grow our community. It's going to be absolutely vital. I spoke about economic security as well. If we don't have the control over our revenue streams, we're going to be in the same situation we were 10 years ago. That's at any point in time can happen again. We go back into bankruptcy. And then finally, I didn't speak about this earlier, but the future of our economy is our education. And it was a study came out just a few weeks ago that showed that the DPS, in the DPS, I believe it's 12% of children in fourth grade can read at grade level. 12%. That means somewhere around 88% of children are not reading at grade level. And to give you another perspective, our incarcerated population, I think only 70% of them can read at fourth grade level. So you can kind of see where this is going, right? If we don't take necessary steps very quickly, we're losing an entire generation. We're losing an entire generation of our children. And so that generation is going to be the ones who are going to be building the economy next year. I'm sorry, in the next generation. So we have to take our job and our responsibilities much, much more seriously. I was talking to a council member just a few weeks ago, and I think it was Focus Hope. They didn't get their funding this year for Head Start. And I told her, like, listen, early childhood education is the only factor that we have that's proven that can result in higher literacy scores. If you're not going to be serious about this, I have to be serious. So I don't want to criticize them. That's not my intention. But you have to have a stronger sense of urgency. It's not just about sitting here, yeah, I know that's right, I know that's right, yeah, that's sad. No. This is real life. This is like my mom used to tell me, you know, this is a real life, little boy. You walking through it like it's a dress rehearsal, okay? And our politicians treat our lives like it's a dress rehearsal. You know, this is real life. We have to step up to the game. We have to do what's necessary, whatever it takes. And it's just having the heart, having the fight. I tell my friends all the time that our politicians suffer from the Wizard of Oz syndrome. Some of them don't have the understanding. I won't say they don't have the brains. They don't have the understanding about what's right and what's wrong. They just listen to whatever lobbyists tell them to do. Others, they don't have the heart. They just don't care about Detroit residents. They didn't grow up here. They don't care about you, no matter how much you talk to them. And then some people, they have the knowing. They know what to do, what's right and what's wrong. They also care about the community, but they just don't have the courage to stand up and fight for us. And then behind the entire scene, you have all of the wizards who are manipulating everything for other people, not for us. So it's time to put the Wizard of Oz in the history books where they belong, and to start having real people and real Detroiters represent us in Lansing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So with that being our last question, don't be afraid to pick up more fruit. Definitely get a T-shirt. Let's think about inviting him over for some coffee, introducing our neighbors, because you know he can talk. All right. And some pictures, because every time you talk to him, it's 10 new facts you didn't know. So thank you, Mr. Reeves. Let's sign up. Let's campaign with you. And let's meet with you individually as we wish.
Thank you so much.
It's been an honor, everyone. Thank you. Thank you, UIN. Thank you, Fruit Co-op.
Yeah, thank you to the co-op, and also thank you for DP ITV TV. Thank you so much.